All right. Peace and greetings, YouTubers. Candace Owens. Nope. Nope. No. Nope. Not at all. Y'all are trying to build a whole mansion with two bricks and half a nail. Make it make sense. And so the argument that was coming from the side that was making the allegations against Fonnie Willis was pretty much she is benefiting financially because it's not a crime for her and Nathan Wade to be in a relationship.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sessions Cafe, brought to you by Entrigue magazine. I'm your host, Keri Singleton, and today we welcome my favorite YouTuber to Sessions Cafe, Calvin Michaels. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming all the way from DC to be on the show. You know I have a lot of questions. I figured, a lot of questions. So you're my favorite YouTuber. I know you get tired of me saying that, but get used to it. You're probably a lot of people's favorite YouTubers. Your show is so informative, and I first got into your show, of course, because you did an episode related to my favorite and yours, Miss Janet Jackson,
right,
where you talked about the fluctuations of the career, of her career, right? And then I just got hooked with all the music commentary, the political commentary, the race commentary. You have a lot to say. You have a lot to say. Where does all of this knowledge? I know you're a Howard University grad, but where does all this knowledge and information come from, bro?
You know, I think some of his life experience, but it's also growing up with two military parents and you live around the world.
Right.
You end up kind of seeing how other people see you. So, quick story, spring, summer 1999, United States, Yugoslavia, Kosovo still has all this stuff going with Slobodan Milosevic. And I remember, for some reason, you know, our school bus had to be police escorted every day and bomb sniffed. Wow. And so when you're like 10 or 11 years old, you just see things different. Like, why do these people hate us? Because, you know, based on how you're brought up, you're thinking, well, we're the greatest country in the world.
Right.
We're out here helping the world. So you're like, wait, these people are like, you know, deaf to you. So stuff like that kind of opens your eyes and you start to look at things very differently. And then again, just, I think just experience through interacting with different people, and the more that you get to know people outside of the scope of how you see the world, things just kind of open up, and then you become inquisitive and you want to dig deeper, and before you know it, you have a totally different perception of something that you thought was once super simple. So
you're a recording artist, a public speaker, a producer, a comic, an actor, a choreographer, and I probably then left some stuff out. Of all the things, of all of the career goals that you have and the directions that you've gone, what is your favorite? I know it's going to be hard. Sorry. That's what I do.
I think my first love really is music.
Okay.
But it's not the driving force of everything I do.
Right.
And I only say that because I think back to, like, I was that kid that would get the friends together and we would start a band in my room, and you stack up buckets and books and get your pencils and you got your drums and your mom's telling you, shut all that down, y'all making noise. That was like my childhood. So music is probably first. It's therapeutic for me. That's why I kind of really enjoy it. I don't push it as hard as I should, but with this upcoming stuff I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna actually push it a bit more. But I think people's favorite thing of mine, even though I don't really do it right now, is actually comedy.
Okay.
Comedy, I think, was moving really, really fast when I started it, but once I transitioned to YouTube, YouTube was it's just easier because it's stationary, and then you can get a larger audience a lot faster and use YouTube as your base to promote everything else you have going.
Now, did you do stand-up comedy?
So
that's got to be tough.
Yeah, that's honestly why the YouTube channel started. There were two things happening. I was teaching dance. This is when I was still at Howard. I was teaching dance in Seattle because that's Washington State. That's where I'm from, and that was helping me pay for like food and stuff just to eat. And so what ended up happening, I couldn't keep flying back every month or week to teach. So I started putting the lectures on YouTube, and then around the time that I had graduated, I was doing stand-up comedy. So I was using the YouTube channel to promote the videos and pass those around and spam all these people, hey, check out my show, check out my show. And then gradually I just started having opinions about stuff. And then that's how the YouTube channel became the channel. So the channel's been around since '05, but I really didn't start really grinding with YouTube until years later. So,
you must have a huge fan base on with your YouTube channel. What I mean,
it's a decent size. I don't think I'm like this massive YouTuber. I think it's around like 65,000, which is
is that all?
I mean, you got people that got like 10 million followers. So I have a great pocket though. I think what it is though, I have a very connected audience. And so I think when you have a connected audience that supports what you do, 10 million is great, but you don't need 10 million because that 65,000 go really hard with everything you do. So I know
to be consistent.
Yeah, I've been working on a short film that I was executive producing, and like even reaching out to the channel that helped to fund about a fourth of our budget just from people that wanted to support. So, yeah. Let's
talk about your wildly popular YouTube channel a little bit more in depth. From its inception in 2005 to 2024. What are some things that have changed between then and now with Calvin Michaels?
Yeah, I think I found my pocket. Okay. Those early years when you're really, I think around 2010, 2011 is when I actually started doing like actual YouTube videos with like topics and stuff. And maybe the first few years was really centered specifically, I was just doing what everybody else was doing. Everybody was doing celebrity gossip. I'm gonna do some celebrity gossip. But at the same time, it wasn't even gossip though. It was kind of like just really a lot of reviews of the award shows or reviewing of different albums or if something was happening. And then I was still doing the political commentary. My first video was still me going off about the Bethany Storrow lady with the threw the acid on her face and blamed it on a black woman. So that was video number one. So I've always been blowing smoke. But as time progressed and the world has become what it is, it's always been that. We just were blind to it. You become a bit more intentional with what you want to put focus on. So we're still talking entertainment, we're still talking music, but a lot of it is really, I'm jumping into policy, how policy affects people collectively, race. I've been saying for years, the dangers of running from conversations on race or, because, you know, I feel like my generation, we were brought up to be colorblind or brought up to be post-racial. Our history lesson of everything around race was slavery to Oprah in 20 pages, Martin Luther King got shot and died, and the world became a better place. Because he had a dream and everybody, they stopped from waking him up, I don't know. But that's what we were kind of taught. So then when you start seeing just the craziness in the last few years, it's like, okay, so this is what everybody's been saying. So right now, it's become very intentional with just the substance and things that I think make a difference between today and tomorrow.
What are some of your favorite topics to discuss?
Now, my favorite is music.
Yeah.
That's my absolute favorite.
Because I don't know.
I don't get to do it as much, but I can talk music history all day. They just take a little bit longer to do because it's usually documentary style now, as opposed to the live. I can just get on there and ramble. And I usually, a lot of the live really just runs by the chat interaction. I have my 5 or 6 topics, and then the chat will carry that live into another segue into something else. So it's layered.
Comedically hard-headed podcast.
Yeah, and you know it's crazy. That only became a thing because some people kept saying, we wish you had a podcast so we could listen in the car. So the podcast was supposed to be just like the channel. But I thought I was scaring people because I was like, you really be on here like going off every day. You might want people to know that you have a sense of humor. So comedically hard-headed more so turned into what it became. When I was, and it's crazy, I announced the podcast, I didn't know what I was gonna be doing. And then it was supposed to be coming out the next day. I still didn't know what I was doing, so I just got in front of the mic and started talking.
Is it therapeutic for you?
Yeah, it gets harder the longer I have it because it's a storytelling setup. So everything's true. I'm pulling out stories that have taken place in life. So there's only so many stories you're gonna have. Fortunately, now that I transitioned from working with youth and running my community center, I have a whole bunch of, I got 11 years worth of stories to tell now. But yeah, it wasn't supposed to be what it became, but I think people sometimes just need things to laugh at. My beef with podcasts right now is everybody got a podcast that pisses you off because it's either some horrible relationship advice or a bunch of folks who think that they're super enlightened on current world events and they're sounding a fool and they got large followings. So I just want to make people laugh.
Everybody wants to be the beacon of everybody else's relationship, I guess, huh?
That and the face of a movement with no work. So
that part. Pull over so I can hit you. Now that's your short film. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I know that you put a lot of energy into that. You flew all the way over to the West Coast. You talked about it on your YouTube channel. Can you give us a little bit of in-depth?
Yeah, so to sum things up, the director, Caitlin Shane, she's awesome. She also went to Howard. She's also from USC, the film school. She found the podcast and heard the Pull Over So I Can Hit You episode, which is the episode where I had to learn how to drive. Whole family was in the car. And she just thought, this is hilarious. Let's do something with it. And so we started working together. We've been working with the short film. It's been really a great process. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of different, I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed. And there's so many logistics, but we filmed it. We're in the last bits of post. It looks really good. I'm excited about it. The cast was awesome. We had a lot of really great people behind us, and so I'm excited for the rollout once we're there.
ETA?
I can't even give you one yet.
No?
But
Okay.
I mean, because we have a strategy, but we're learning to just until it's there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it is this year, so it's not anything. It's not like 10 years from now.
Okay, so it's coming.
Yeah.
All right. One more question before we go to break. The online book club. Now, you know I'm an author, right? I never got into book clubs. I've had my book, both of my books in book clubs. But what makes you decide you want to start an online book club? Other than the fact that I know that you are big on education and that you love to read.
Yeah, that too was a suggestion from the people on the channel. A lot of the stuff is stuff they bring up, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. So that was kind of something they had been asking for a few years. I just didn't really know how to lock into it. And once pandemic hit and we was in the house, all right, well, let's read. So that's how that's been set up. And it's been a really good run.
Of the books that you've had for the online book club, which one was your favorite? And the one that you had the most interaction with your...
That was The Color of Law.
Okay.
And that's all about redlining, housing, how the United States was made up. I mean, that was some great discussion in those sessions. It's between that and the Phyllis Hyman book.
I can imagine. All right, we got a break. We got to take a break, and we're going to come back with more from Calvin Michaels right here on Sessions Cafe.
All right, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So I got a chance to watch the documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop. Now, this is a documentary about the creation and the release of the charity single, We Are the World. Now, if you follow me, you know I am a big music dork. I love all things music documentaries, so this was right up my alley. I had been waiting for this one to come out. And so I definitely recommend checking this out. I am giving some spoilers, so if you want to wait to see the documentary, I suggest going and seeing it first before you watch my review, because I'm definitely going to talk about a few different scenes and stuff here and there. But overall, I thought it was a really great watch. I think these kind of documentaries...
And we're back here on Sessions Cafe with my favorite YouTuber in the world. And if you want to know why, make sure you check out the show Calvin Michaels on YouTube channel. Calvin Michaels, we're going to talk about one of our favorite mutual subjects, Janet Jackson.
Right. Isn't she great?
Oh. People want to talk about Beyonce all day. I could talk about Janet Jackson. Well, not all day, but just a lot of the day. Favorite Janet Jackson album?
It's Velvet Rope.
Okay. Favorite Janet Jackson tour?
Oh, shoot. Oh, same tour. Same
tour.
name, yeah. Okay. But as far as one that I've been to, Rock With You tour from 08.
3 slow songs, 3 fast songs. Your favorite?
24 Play. Roll With You, the bonus track from 20YO.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Truth, oddly enough. I really like that one. Okay. You said a fast one?
Yeah, see, this is a brother that does B cuts, B-sides. Yeah. I like that, yeah. Your
3
favorite fast ones, yes.
Oh, All Right. Always is going to have some knock.
The remix or the original?
You talking about with Heavy D on it?
Yes.
I'll take both. It's the same production.
All right. Okay.
Oh no, I don't know.
Come on, she's got plenty to.
I know this one it gets hard.
I don't want to.
I blast Escapade a lot in the car. Okay, that's a feel good song.
Escapade, that's 2 from the same album.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rhythm Nation is my number 2. It's back and forth with Velvet Rope and Rhythm Nation album. Okay. So.
And I noticed you really like the one that she did, the cover on Velvet Rope that she did.
Oh, the Tonight's the Night.
I'm not a big.
It's because I like that she had that second. How the song transitions into that other piece, that's what made me like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the disco days, sort of.
Kind of. It's a real difference. So I was like, all right, cool.
What are your thoughts on pop culture?
Oh, Lord.
Because you know
Keri's always trying to get me to talk trash about everybody.
Because you know it. No, it doesn't. No, not necessarily.
No, I think it sucks right now. It's not that it sucks. It's that I don't think music is a collective experience anymore. And some of that has to do with the emergence of social media, what the internet has become, what YouTube has become. So there aren't moments that everybody's watching. Like, okay, if you think of like Motown 25. So yeah, we know Michael Jackson, Moonwalk, all that. But when I was doing like some research, the performance of the Bars and the group High Energy, right? The Bars does All This Love, High Energy does He's a Pretender, and then they do the DeBar song together.
Right.
Because that was such a massive night, The next day, specifically in like LA region, the sales for the He's a Pretender single from High Energy like skyrocketed. Everybody was trying to get the vinyl. So that idea of everybody kind of watching at the same time, we get that with the Super Bowl.
Right.
But we don't. That's about it.
That's about it.
So like,
except for those of us that are not Super Bowl fans like me, Kaepernick and Janet Jackson. I don't
so when it's like when there's albums that come out, the eras don't last the same way anymore.
Right.
If you're not living on the internet and obsessed with people, you don't even know they have stuff out. People go on tour and you don't know about it.
Right.
Like this, I live right by the arena in DC. There's so many times where I've walked past the arena, I'm like, wait, they're here tonight? Oh, like Alicia Keys, I went and saw her show. It was actually really, really good. No idea she was in town. I'm like, so it's just that collective experience isn't there. Everybody's kind of in their own individual space. Radio doesn't carry any weight anymore.
Right.
We don't have music networks, so everybody's in their own bubble. And I think generationally, you know how they say the recipes are getting lost? Because there's not an appreciation for the past.
Right.
There's a dismissive approach, and I think it's affecting the music as well, because even the production is, there's some great artists, but a lot of what's current, I don't see the innovation.
Well,
some of it's generational, but
Yeah.
every generation is going to think their stuff is the greatest. But yeah, it's a little uneventful right now.
Well, let's talk about something that is pretty eventful. I'm going to shift gears. Your thoughts on reparations?
It's old, and there we go. We got numbers. There's not even a debate. Like, I think more people need to really pay attention to the landscape of the United States and where the wealth has come from. Because there's so many pockets. One conversation, yes, slavery is one piece, yes, but I think the conversation of reparations should not be limited to just what happened with slavery. It should also go to what happened with convict leasing, because even when you're talking about mortality rates in convict leasing was higher than slavery, because at least with slavery, they weren't always trying to kill their slaves because it costs money. Convict leasing, you're owned by the state. So if you die, don't worry, we'll arrest somebody else. That's where the black codes come in.
You're replaceable, right.
So there's that. There's the redlining. There's being left out of the New Deal. There's being left out of the FHA program. There's being left out of any and everything you can think of, the GI Bill. All of that accumulates to generational wealth, and we've been left out of all of that. And so now we're burdened collectively as black people to somehow make up for any and everything that has been backed by federal policy in 40 years, where we're considered lazy and begging for handouts, and we just have no motivation. So, yeah, that could be a whole segment in itself.
I got some hot topics for you, brother, because I watch your show and I know what you like to talk about. The 2024 election. What's your thoughts on that?
Lord, give me the strength. I'm not excited. God.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I'm not excited. I am praying that America has common sense, but we've seen a few times before that it doesn't. So I'm preparing for the worst, hoping for the best.
Black conservatism. See, I know what yanks his gears, so yeah.
I think there's layers to that conversation because, to be honest, there is a segment of black conservatives that exists, but the problem with the idea of the conservative movement is that it's always kind of been centered in anti-blackness, or at least the one that's popular right now. Because you can say collectively, black people, they are conservative on some things. If you're talking about, even if you're talking about the conversation of same-sex marriage, you start going to a black church, you start thinking you're hearing from a bunch of older white men talking.
Right. We're not a monolith. We're not that, yeah.
There's certain things where we are conservative on some things, but because that conservative segment of the United States has such a racist undertone, that's why they could never really pull in a black collective. So they exist. Then there's that conversation of those who are selling us out for $1. Like Candace Owens and the Tim Scotts and the
long list.
I don't have time.
Long list.
All that, eventually you pay the piper. So enjoy the fun while it lasts, but they get rid of you. Okay, it's like Herman Cain died and Trump didn't even acknowledge the man.
Right. Yeah. So, he's. We won't talk about Trump on this show. Your thoughts on? Pause for effect. A Phyllis Hyman biopic.
So I've shifted into the space where I want a documentary instead. And I'm only saying that because I've seen so many biopics that just haven't been good lately.
Right.
There's been some okay ones that have been coming out, but I think the documentary will do a better job of really painting her story, especially the conversation of mental health.
Yes, exactly.
And the correlation between the music business and just life, because she's had a very layered experience. So I don't think a movie can capture it.
Well, one more topic that I've never heard you talk about, and I'm going to finally get some responses on this show. I know you're cringing, aren't you? Cringing.
Oh, Lord.
Sean Diddy Combs.
I hate that. That's a legacy tarnished. You know what's crazy? When I got to Howard,
that's a couple of legacies tarnished.
I was like, man, what happens at the house party when they get to the bad boy segment? Because that's normally what gets everybody jumping. It's like, man, it's crazy. I had his room, his dorm room when I was at Howard Drew Hall, room 310. He was in 310, so I always used to be like, yeah, that's why I'm so tired of music, because this was Diddy's room. It's all over me. Now I'm like,
all kinds of other things.
I ain't talking about it no more.
Yeah, that's God only knows
it's
what's
a conversation
in
of what
room.
money can buy and the power that exists. So, yes, sucks for him. Better choices. Way better choices.
Let's talk about some of your records. Symphonic Euphoria, which came out in 2017, which I've listened to and enjoyed. What was the process like when it came to putting that together? What was you going through and what was you talking about?
It was kind of an idea. I wasn't planning on making it. I knew I wanted to build a recording studio. Built a studio, started just making tracks. Then I was like, all right, let me put some vocals on that. And then before you know it, I had an album. And so that album, like I said, it was kind of that first run. And then the second album that came out, the hardcover, was a bit more intentional with an actual theme and everything. So I love both albums.
So would Symphonic Euphoria be your Janet Jackson record from 1982, or would it be Control?
I was so cocky making it. I was like, that's my Control.
Okay,
and the
that's
other
your
one's
Control.
Rhythm Nation. I said, I'm going to skip the first two.
Okay.
But,
and the Hardcore, which came out in 2019, is that your Janet or your Velvet Rope? Okay, so Rhythm
I was
Nation.
going in order.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
So
about Today, which is due out? I'm excited to hear.
Man, I'm pressed to get it out. The thing is, life has just been really good the last 2 years, and I've been fortunate to jump into so many different opportunities. So the music has always had to almost take a back seat. And it's only because I don't really announce things. But, you know, the 2 albums are done. It's under the Today project, and there's 2 albums, Before Tomorrow, After Yesterday. They both equate to Today.
Right.
Before Tomorrow is the up-tempos, the fun. Pretty much, I think of what does a choreographer want when they're looking for music to make a routine to. That's what that album is.
Okay.
And then After Tomorrow, or After Yesterday, is the more adult contemporary R&B, traditional, Joe Circa, I Want to Know kind of sound. Everything is ready to roll out. I already shot the music videos. They've been sitting on deck. The album covers I shot in Chicago. I traveled and lived while I recorded these 2 albums. So I can't wait to put them out. I think people will see a lot of growth because it's really been 5 years now. So there was lots of time to really just hone the craft. I started taking like different singing lessons to learn how to utilize what I could do with my voice.
Wow.
I had this moment where I just sat in throwback music, like everything from 70s and back, just to understand instrumentation.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's layers.
So I hate to keep jumping from topic to topic, but before I let you go, I really just wanted to ask you, after 11 years at your after-school program, because that's a lot. You spent 10 years plus with these kids. You obviously watched some of them grow up. What would be some of your proudest moments from working at that program?
Oh, man, I could be here all day. I will say one of my most current ones, so I'm not going to say her real name, but on my podcast where I talk about her name is Clarissa. That's not her real name, just to protect her identity. I worked with her since she was in kindergarten.
Okay.
She made it all the way to the very final round of, it's pretty much a national youth competition for like outstanding teens. And so she competed against thousands of kids across the country. She made it all the way to the very top 2. Wow. And she had Ruth Carter, that's the woman that did all the design for the Black Panther movies.
Exactly.
She had an Oscar winner introduce her on the stage. She met Susan Taylor from Essence Magazine.
Wow.
Gladys Knight got to shake. It was amazing. And so it was kind of to see that same little girl I used to fuss at make it all the way to this big stage. And because she did so well, I mean, all of her college was paid for. She's a freshman in college right now, but her by winning all these competitions, because it's rounds and regional and state and everything like that, it paid for all of her school. And that helped because she is in a family with 2 other siblings. And just like her older sister, who also was in a similar competition, made it to the state level, and that helped pay for most of her school. But just to see that alone, that's kind of like the impact of your work in real time. I always say sometimes working in the community, you don't always get to see everything right away. Sometimes things simmer. That's something that really simmered. The other thing I would say, for the kids, right before I left, they got to meet Obama. And they got to be on the Today Show.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That was cool because I thought it was going to be Secret Service hiding out one of the kids if they get too close. But, I mean, they got to jump on this man's back and like everything. Those are probably 2 of the biggest. And then, again, my center ranking top in America in 2017, 18, and 2021.
That's dope.
So, yeah.
That's dope. If people want to get in touch with you, because you do so many different things, but if people want to just reach out to you and get the record when it comes out, log onto your YouTube channel. If they also want to get involved in the book club, how can they get in contact with you?
So, I have a website, calvinmichaels.com.
I didn't even know that.
Well, I've done a soft launch. I haven't really pushed it yet. I was going to push it when the album finally dropped.
Okay.
But yeah, it has everything. YouTube, all the access to the music, even the charities I support. Two charities I support. One is called Joyful Hands. One is called Guns Down Friday, based in D.C. The book club, all of my journalism work when I was working with the magazine. I think I said the podcast already. It has everything. So that is the one-stop shop. Or you can hit me on Instagram if you want a faster response. You can search Calvin Michaels or at Gimmie A Beat, Gimmie.
Gimmie A Beat.
ABEAT.
Where does that come from?
I have no idea, man.
I don't know.
It might have been from one of them Jackson relatives.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. Keri D. Singleton here with Calvin Michael on Sessions Cafe with my favorite YouTuber in the world. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, brother.
All right,
Thanks for having me. Thank you
All
for
right.
talking to me.
Yep, no problem.
See you next time.